One of the most controversial topics in education presently is the use of seat belts and safety on school buses. The safety of school buses is one that's controversial across New York State, especially. Though teachers, educators, and district employees all can understand why it is our responsibility to keep students safe when they are in the presence of a school district, it's hard to understand and maintain how these vehicles that transport students to and from school each day can be a hazard or a luxury to each parent. The issue presently is that wearing seatbelts on school buses is a requirement through most school districts. The wearing of seatbelts, just like in personal vehicles, is for the protection of those involved. Wearing seatbelts can help during a crash, accident, rollover, or any incident involving the vehicle. Now, there's an argument across the state, especially with law enforcement officers, school districts, as well as other agencies, arguing that the design of the school buses allows for seatbelts not to be worn and the occupants to be protected. Wearing seatbelts on school buses, like all personal vehicles, can protect you from the dangers that may not be avoidable for the driver or the people involved. School buses are driven by humans who, of course, are at no fault of their own, human beings, whereas they can cause an accident, be involved in an accident, or be involved with anything in whatsoever. Wearing seatbelts on school buses can protect those. The seatbelts are designed, as well as the seats, to protect the students in the event of a rollover or even just a general fender bender. Now, the seat design is designed to protect the students. According to studies across the state, especially New York, California, and Florida, school bus designs, including the seats front to back with border protectors in front, are to protect the students in the event of a crash. If the school bus is hit from behind, the student will be thrown forward, where the padded seat in front of them will help protect them and remain them in the seat. In the event of a rollover, though, the seat backing does not protect the student, and the student could be involved with hitting the roof during the rollover incident. Students wearing seatbelts, however, will be held on and remain in their seat until help can arrive. These safety concerns are a debatable topic between all the agencies involved in the safety of students, the development of resources for school buses, and the assisting of students through safety practices, acts, and laws across states in the United States. Seatbelts from perspectives. As the school administrators, it is the policy of most school districts, especially across New York State, that Board of Educations regulate that students must wear seatbelts when on a school bus. This can include going to and from school, field trips, or even from sporting events. Now, it is known that not a lot of students wear seatbelts on school buses. Now, it might be considered not cool to wear your seatbelt, or even they don't realize the risks that they are involved by not wearing their seatbelts while on school buses. Wearing your seatbelt can assist with students protecting themselves, but also protecting the school district from liabilities of their students not wearing seatbelts while they are engaging in activities sponsored by the school district. Administrators have set these standards based on the recommendations of the state of New York, which requires that school buses by design have seatbelts. However, state law does not require that students wear seatbelts while on a moving school bus. New York State leaves this law up to school districts to govern in their own policies. Public safety officials, however, see this from a different perspective. The public safety officials see the fact that the school district is designed, that the school bus is designed in a certain manner. Therefore, students not wearing their seatbelts are still being protected based on the design and maneuvering of the school bus itself. Now, if these public safety officials, like Warren County Sheriff's officers, when interviewed about school safety and seatbelts, are reporting that the seat backing and covers on a school bus protect students in the event of a crash, where they will be thrown forward and protected and remaining in place. However, These seat backing and covers do not protect students in the event of a rollover or other dangers where students might be thrown from their seats unless they're being held on by a seatbelt. Bus drivers see seatbelts as an important aspect of the design and governing of a school bus because it assists with disruptive students. According to a case study with disruptive students, seatbelts keep students in their place over students who are not wearing seatbelts. When a student is wearing seatbelts, they must remain in place and are harder to move around and fool around. This moving around and fooling around on a school bus can distract the bus driver to the point where these disruptive students must be removed in order for the safety of all involved. When a disruptive student is disruptive on a school bus, it changes the safety from the driver paying attention to the road to having to worry about what other students on the school bus are doing. Therefore, the safety of the students not wearing seatbelts therefore increases in the event of an accident or other issue where wearing a seatbelt may protect them further. The design of school buses are bench seats. These bench seats, beginning at the front of the bus, have a wall which is padded. Then you have your bench seat, and then behind, the back of the front bench seat acts as the front covering to the next bench seat, and this continues all the way to the rear of the bus. This creates a safety buffer zone for students who are sitting in rows on school buses. Now, each school bus in New York State is required to be designed with a seatbelt. These seatbelts are there to protect children, however, they're not worn by all parties involved. These seatbelts, like I've stated, do protect during rollovers because they hold students, although most school buses across New York State are using lap belts, which are only effective when tightened to the student's to the student's certain height, weight, or design. Across the lap and across the waist belts help students stay in place more firmly as they adapt just like those of a personal vehicle and make sure that students remain in their certain position. Now, the performance of the bus driver. When students are wearing seatbelts, they are considered to be more well behaved because they have less ability to be maneuvering around the bus. This wearing seatbelts helps the performance of the bus driver by having minimal distractions for those involved. When not wearing seatbelts, students are distracted and are easier to distract the driver from the main job, which is driving the bus. This creates safety concerns not only for the school district, the bus drivers, but also for these public safety officials who say that wearing a seatbelt is not necessary. Wearing a seatbelt on a school bus is necessary because it assists in many aspects, not just safety, but also the behavior that takes place on a school bus. According to a school district superintendent, students wearing seatbelts helps them remain in place and focused on their task, which is riding the school bus. Students are less engaged of having their feet in the aisles, getting up and moving around, yelling, turning around, or affecting the bus driver's perception and ability to drive the bus effectively. According to New York State, it is a mandate for all manufacturers of school buses to include seatbelts in their school buses. However, New York State traffic and safety vehicle laws allow the decision for school districts to have a policy on seatbelts. Having these policies on seatbelts allows for the school district to have specific rules and regulations for their students to follow. Like, for example, some school districts require that just elementary students, when riding school buses, wear their seatbelts. However, other districts require that all students and adults on a school bus wear their seatbelts. Now, this may be tricky when you have someone like a police officer who believes that, according to their discretion, that school buses are safe due to their bench seats and design. These bench seats and design can assist in students being protected. However, like stated, they do not protect during rollover or other serious collision events. Now, a school district requiring that every adult or person on a school bus wear their seatbelt is hard to enforce because you have one bus driver to 38 passengers. So these buses must follow these rules and regulations to a T. In my own personal experience of riding a school bus, I was back and forth on wearing a seatbelt. However, I see now when a school bus rolls over how not wearing a seatbelt can affect negatively as it can cause further injury. It'd be like not wearing a seatbelt on an airline. At my local school district of North Warren, it is a requirement that all students and adults wear their seatbelts. However, this is not strictly enforced because, like I said, it is one person to 38, 40 people on a bus. Seatbelts are an important aspect to vehicle and traffic laws, and they should be enforced and followed. Public safety when operating a vehicle is a priority and should be followed by each and every individual involved, whether you're in a vehicle, a school bus, or any other mode of transportation. Safety should be everyone's number one concern.